I feel quite privileged to be up here first. It's great. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Steve. There's been an awful lot of work gone on in the background, so big thank you to him. Okay.
Trust what I say.
B.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. First thing I'd like to say, we're going to talk about beliefs and how they affect our biology, which they absolutely do. One thing I would like you to take away from not just this session, but from the whole weekend, is that beliefs are everything. When I do a matrix training and I get feedback from the participants, one of the things that they say is, I just didn't know, even if they've done EFT for years, I didn't realise how much our beliefs have to do with everything. And I'm talking about our relationships, how we deal with other people, our work, our relationship to money, and of course our health, which I'm going to go into. I just want to give you an example of a few clients that I've worked with chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay, one of the common traits with chronic fatigue syndrome, and you might want to write this down because I've never found anybody that hasn't had this that I go looking for it to help them recover, is the belief that the world is a dangerous place or the world's out to get them. They've invariably been bullied at some time in their life and they strive for success. Okay? Like I say, I've never come across anybody that hasn't had those traits. Okay? Another lady I did some work with in England when I was over there a year ago was, her belief was, I don't want to be seen. Okay? She was blind. So if somebody has an eye problem, I'm automatically looking for, I don't want to be seen, or I don't want to see something. Okay? So there's just a couple of examples that I could stand here forever, but I better get on with my presentation. All right. So, and the beauty about the belief is matrix reimprinting. The core essence of matrix reimprinting is, yes, number one, to use EFT to de-traumatize. So if you have an event where you're in a freeze response, we can directly discharge that freeze response, which invariably we don't do in our culture. Okay. But the other thing is, within minutes, we can literally have you in that past picture, that movie, that memory, and find out what the belief was, and then we can directly change it to something positive, okay? Based on your life experiences since then, or whatever it might be, whatever information we can bring into that, okay? But I'll explain a bit more about matrix as I go on. Okay, so just to start off with, trauma. So what occurs in trauma? The fight, flight, and freeze is there to help us survive, okay? Fraction before trauma, consciousness freezes. How do we know this? Have you ever been in a car crash and you come out of that and you can't remember those last few seconds? Your energy system picks up that you're going to have a car crash and numbs you out, and you get amnesia, okay? Our body becomes protected biochemically from emotional and physical overwhelm. We're very well designed for that. Consciousness splits off, containing all the information. I don't know if you know about Bruce Lipton's work, or energy fields, yeah? Okay, this is what happens. A part of us energetically splits off and it gets held out into the field. Okay? We become numbed out, it's like it's never happened and it never stops. And that's why you'll ask about people about their past and they'll forget. They'll not remember that they had these significant events, and then the more you get into it, it's like, oh, I forgot about that, and it was massive for them. I had this the other day with somebody. Life-changing events that happened, and they totally forgot, but they just came up in the session. Okay. A hologram is held in our local fields in a different dimension. How do we know we have these holograms? Who's ever smelt something, heard a song, been triggered by one of the senses, and then all of a sudden you've seen a picture from the past, And you'll have pictures that keep coming up and keep coming up. That is your subconscious telling you, you need to deal with this, okay? But up until now, we've got EFT and everything, but it's about having to how do we deal with that? Those images that are traumatic. Because there will be a belief system attached to that belief, to that picture. Okay, and this is how echoes are created, what we call in Matrix echoes. And an echo is what we call an energetic consciousness hologram. Basically, a picture of ourselves in the past when a trauma occurred. Okay? So Cal came up with the term echo basically because it has meaning at that level, but it's also like an echo from our past, isn't it? And it doesn't matter whether you were, I've helped people with an event that happened last week or even a day ago, but I've also helped people as far back in past lives and in spirit as well, because there's a belief system there of I'm not wanted. Yeah. Okay, why does this happen? It's held for protection, survival, and avoidance of similar events. Just on that note, phobias. Okay, there's always a belief. When somebody's got a phobia, there is always a belief. And I'll just tell you about somebody I worked with a severe bird phobia. And what happened was when they were 8 years old, they were in a chicken coop, and the chickens all hyped up. And from that point on, they developed actually butterfly and bird phobia because of the flappy thing. Okay, now the belief on that day was because he was an 8-year-old in this environment, like contained in a cage, and the birds hyped up, my life is in danger. So in the current, when he went, and he's a concreter too, so he's always in the environment, it was affecting his whole life. When he was in that environment of a bird would come in, he's automatically thinking, my life is in danger. Consciously, like, hello. But subconsciously, that was what was going on for him, so he reacts. And a massive phobia on a physical level, adrenaline, all that kind of stuff going on. So, but we've cleared it now with Matrix, because we changed the belief of I'm not going to survive. Of course you survived. You're here, now. But we did it at a very deep subconscious level. As long as the trauma is held by the echo, similar events will trigger a similar response. So, just for example, for the bird phobia, the exact feelings that he had then, you will get when another bird comes. It's the same physical energy that will go on, the same feelings. It requires a lot of energy to hold on to information, okay? People say to me, why are children getting sick so young these days? Why is that? Because their vitality is so much lower. They've got so much more stress these days. They're inactive. Their diet's pretty shocking. They're eating processed foods. Okay, so their vitality is lower and there's a tipping point. Okay, so, and everybody has a tipping point. If you keep active, your energy keeps up, then the time that things that you need to deal with that come into fruition tends to be older. Okay. By the way, if anybody gets triggered by what I'm putting up here, please can you tap? If you're in strife, can you please put your hand up and I'll get one of our helpers to help you? Okay. Big T traumas. Yes, of course, they are a trauma and they're going to have an effect on you down the track. And quite often with a big T trauma, such as these, there's a freeze response. There's some shock that happens, okay? So yes, we have to deal with the trauma, the shock, but then we can get to the belief. Okay, small T traumas. These are the ones can be just as traumatic for people. So for example, if somebody said at a young age, and this is really, really common, you're never going to amount to anything, okay? I know somebody who at the age of 50 has just become a CEO that actually was told that as a young child. He's a CEO at a very, very high stress level because he's coming from, I will never amount to anything and I'll prove you wrong. Yeah? So again, it's affecting his biology, isn't it? Because he's constantly in stress. And his brother actually said to me, if he doesn't stop, he's going to have a heart attack. Okay? So even those one sentences can have a massive effect on us, yeah, for the rest of our lives. Okay. So the difference between EFT and Matrix is EFT is like watching a film. So you've got the movie, and we can take away the trauma from the memory, but the memory, typically, the memory will stay the same. It's just there's no attachment to it. Okay, with Matrix, it's like participating in a play. Because what we do is we get you to, as a client, imagine stepping into the movie, and you become a participant in it. And what you do is you talk to your younger you. Like I said, be it a week ago or that child. Invariably, we're looking for our childhood experiences below the age of 6. But in doing that, we can absolutely get to the belief system. We can tap away on that echo, and we can find out what the belief was at the time and then change it. It's quite a phenomenal technique. I've got a few people in here that are Matrix trained, and just before I forget, if you want to talk to somebody who's done Matrix, then I can, if they're willing to talk to you, I'm sure they would be. Just let me know if you want to talk to somebody about it. Okay, so we can resolve the trauma at that level, and we can actually change the memory, because a lot of times when there's a huge trauma, and this is when a disease process will start, or can start, not necessarily evident physically, but down the track, is when you're in a situation of powerless and helpless, okay, and a threat to survival. They are key elements that I'm always looking for. Okay, so that picture, quite familiar to some people, I'm sure. What are the possible beliefs that little girl is having right at that moment?
Fighting because of me.
Yeah. Sorry? What am I doing wrong? Yeah. I'll just repeat these. Okay. What am I doing wrong? Yeah. It's all because of me. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
So, and that is really common. All because of me. Because they'll see, a child can look at the parents arguing, who's the common denominator? Me. It's all my fault. Anybody else?
It affect their relationships in the future.
Yeah. Relationships are bad. Or relationships, yeah, absolutely.
I can't stop them fighting. Well, I can do nothing about it.
Yep, so I'm powerless in this situation. Yeah. Anybody else?
I'm not safe.
I'm not safe. Yeah, very, very important. Yeah. Okay. Another one is if they were arguing about money. Money must be bad or money must be evil. Yeah. And this is a very common scenario. Okay, so the possible decisions, the world is dangerous, okay, because if mum and dad are arguing at a very high level and the child is there cowering, and that happens very often, like they might be quite often in the bedroom, for example, they form the belief that the world's a dangerous place because they're just in that, they're isolated and on their own. I don't matter, I'm not safe, nobody sees me, I can't trust men, it's all my fault, like you said. Nobody can be happy, married people aren't happy, and women get abused. Okay, so when a trauma occurs, subconscious programs run 95 to 99% of our daily behaviour, activities and habits.